forever, but I do want to talk about what it was like for you and Ray going through that transition, because you married him as a trans woman.
Yeah.
Like, what was that like for you? And you're still married. That's such a, I mean, it's awesome that, you know, you guys have been able to be such a great team together, you know, and like get through that. Like, but what was that like for you?
So first I started like looking into all this stuff, like I said, like listening to Gender Wider Lens. And then at some point, like, so we already have this, like, we're both really intellectual. We just love to talk about like some sort of intellectual conversation for like hours, maybe. And that like makes me feel a lot of love towards him and feel really connected. Like that's like our love language.
That's my love language too, is like arguing about politics or like just like going way deep into some weird shit. Like,
like, what are your thoughts on blah blah blah? Like, I don't know. I've never considered it. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
But so we already had that relationship, and we had always tried to make it as safe as possible between the two of us to say, like, you know, I believe this, or like I'm questioning this, or I wonder this question, even if like outside of the room where we are, like our friends or anyone else would look at us and be like, you can't say that, that's terrible. So
but
we
you guys
would
had each other at least to like bounce ideas off
try to make it like the safest space for that. So we already were like that. And so when I was doing this scary, I did read Detransitioned, Baby. It was a fun book. I got through it really fast, but I don't know if it really.
That's one of my IRL friends who I wish would come on stream sometime, bitch.
But yeah, we already had that safety, and so when I was like, I was pretty scared to start questioning the gender stuff because like he was a trans feminine person, and I was married to him, and like all my friends are like completely into like all this gender stuff. And but I started kind of telling him like pretty early on when I was doing it, because that's like the safe space. We're supposed to be able to tell each other. But I also was like, I don't really want to oh, is this about you? Is that about you?
Oh yeah. Okay. I just click the random comments to pull them up sometimes.
Yeah. But yeah, I was able to tell him pretty early on, like, I'm going to look this stuff up, and I'm getting an open mind about, like, maybe I don't feel the same way I thought I felt about gender. And like, I was scared. It was scary to tell him, but it's like, we're supposed to be able to. So I did it. And he was like, okay, like, how do you want to navigate that? And I was like, I think I'm going to be pretty private about it for now. And I might just tell you something here or there, send you something here or there. And eventually I would be like, do you want to watch this thing with me? And like, we wouldn't even talk about the thing. And like, eventually we started being like, so what did you think of that thing? And like asking questions to each other. And he started watching things privately too, because his curiosity got piqued.
Yeah.
So, and then eventually we started really having more conversations and really opening up to like, I have this new viewpoint. I think I agree with it, this new viewpoint instead of my old one. And, we really just like transformed together. Like, we're not like the same as each other,
like that, because that could have gone in so many different ways, but
yeah,
that really speaks to like the testament that you found someone who you connect with beyond all that other life shit, you know. And that's so important in life, you know, no matter how that relationship evolves over time. It's like, you know, it's so important to have people in your life like that who just care and know you for you. So if someone says you're a white supremacist, they're not just gonna be like, all right, shunned, you know. It's like, what the hell? You know? So, did you worry like about your attraction changing? Because you said you're primarily attracted, or like you're bi, but like, do you feel like you have a more your preferences towards females generally?
I am going through trying to like piece together all of that right now, because part of being so like woke for so long and thinking that like we all have like genders inside of our bodies that are more important than our bodies and all that for like ever since I was like a teenager until like now, like well into adulthood, like I pretty much like, even though I was attracted to like women or like feminine people, I pretty much was just like, well, you know, everyone's gender expression could change at any point. Like, they might not even be expressing in the way that feels best for them now. Like, I could be in a relationship and they could like come out as like a different like gender and like change their expression. Like, I still should love that person as the same person. Like, they didn't like, change themselves. So I was like, well, that makes sense. I should be pansexual, so I'm the most safe space for everyone to be able to express themselves however they want and feel just like inherently loved as who they are. But then now here I'm finally like free of like that sort of influence, and I'm being like, am I like legitimately fully attracted to like male-bodied masculine people who are running on like their natural testosterone hormones, or am I like almost entirely gay? Like, am I as bisexual or pansexual as I thought? So it's like a whole thing. Like, I'm still working through it, and it's like
I feel that too.
Yeah. Ray is like a trooper. He's just chilling. Like, he just detransitioned from being on all this estrogen and like barely any testosterone and being like feminine, like all that stuff.
That's still like pretty new for you guys, right? It's all in this past year that all these changes. Right?
Yeah. And he's just like letting me go through and try and figure that out and being like, okay, like, he's not acting
like that. Like, it's an awakening. It happens like kind of things can change quickly. And I think for the better, it feels like you're moving towards truth. You're moving towards seeing people for full humans while engaging and disagreeing. Like,
because I think like I fell in love with this person who I thought had like the internal gender identity of being a woman, and so like essentially was like a woman like through and through, and like was completely on estrogen, like soft skin, like estrogenized like psychology, like not testosterone telling him to do stuff, but like estrogen like affecting the psychology and the motivations. And like, I think like smell different, like different pheromones, which is supposed to be a huge thing when you're falling in love. So I fell in love with like this totally feminine version of this person, and now it's like testosterone motivating the psychology, which he's dealing with super well. Like, he didn't have like a period of time where he was like a monster or anything. Like, he didn't like struggle with like ups and downs.
I can't even imagine that. Like,
it's like intense. It's like now he like is like, oh my god, like male sexuality and female sexuality are so different, and he's like,
they literally are. Like, people need to get fucking
like,
real. That's the other thing is like, I feel like I sound like so like biologically essentialist, but like I kind of fucking am, and like
it's real. Like, a lot of it's like, real.
It's real. Like, I am very much influenced by my biology in many ways. Like, and that's okay. It doesn't mean I'm like at the mercy of it, but we should all be able to like say that, like, it's a fact, women like have different broadly different sexual behaviors spectrum, but like it's a very different for like, and as someone who's been like in the sex industry, like I know it's different. The way I've never had female customers ever.
Wow.
Like, unless they were with a man. Like, it's so entirely fucking different. You know?
Yeah, I think it's like struggles that men and males and male men.
Male
like,
men.
What words do people want me to use?
Biologically male men.
Struggles that they have based on like the testosterone coursing through their veins, I think are real. Like, struggles that they have trying to like control impulses, sexual impulses, like that's real. And
there's no empathy for that at all, especially like women don't really, and it's understandable why we're sensitive, because every woman I know has been assaulted to some degree, you know, raped,
harassed,
like stalker. That's just the background noise of being a woman, you know, like what?
Like,
fuck, I forgot where I was getting with that.
Sorry, my brain's like male sexuality.
Oh yeah. I think we should have more sympathy for that experience and how intense that is, because women, we can be very like, we're more sexually moral, like la-di-da, look at our crime rates. And it's like, we have entirely different physiological things driving us. And I've like kind of experienced it like by being on drugs that increase my sex drive. It made me like relate to like being a guy and just like watching porn for like 12 fucking hours and like just getting fucked up, like really into that world. Like, Yeah, but that's so awesome that, you know, he's been handling it well.
And yeah, he's been really like handling it really well, and he's very like self-aware, and he listens to all these other people. Like he'll go on Twitter and like listen to the feminists, like the rad femmes. Like he'll read what they have to say and try to be like, that's like a female person talking about their experience as a woman, and I want to like realize that they have something to say. And he'll try to take it in. And sometimes I think I like assist in that process, and he listens to me too, and it makes me feel really good. But yeah, so like even though I fell in love with him as like this feminine person that was like different in some ways, like I'm already essentially like deeply in love with this person. So like at this point, like does the change in like physiology, biology, like will that impact us? Is that a huge deal? Like it might impact like our sex lives, our sexual behavior. Maybe my sexual orientation might be mostly towards like feminine people or females or something, like some combination of that. But like I don't know, like romantically, like I already have romantic feelings. Like I don't think I'm gonna just lose those. So
yeah,
it's like it's so complicated. Like
it literally is. Like I don't know how I struggle just day to day with my brain. Like, cause I can't even imagine unpacking like it's just a lot to process, a lot to reflect on. Like, and broadly, it seems positive. Like, do you feel like invigorated? Like, how does it feel to be like saying stuff like publicly?
It feels so good and interesting. Like I hope I help other people, but at the same time I'm still trying to figure myself out and like proceed through my life and what is going on, like what I'm going through, and help him do that too, because he's AGP, and so he's trying to figure out how to incorporate like his desire to be feminine. Like should it be in erotic situations? Should it be like complete cross-dressing? Should it be like just like incorporating a little bit of femininity, like painting nails and doing makeup and like wearing whatever clothes he wants, like masculine clothes? And like does that feel good? Like what feels good for him, and what's healthy for him, for everyone else, for me? Like, you know,
that sounds like a really good approach though. Like
because like we read all those like tweets and listen to the videos and the podcasts where you know, women are understandably, or other people too, are understandably upset about AGP's behavior in society, because the ones that we know are AGP are the ones who transgressed some boundary and did something bad.
It's so hard to talk about, but that there is that pattern of like, it does seem like every Redux fucking person is that
an AGP,
like, that subtype, you know?
So he's
like, unfortunate that that's the only representation, because I imagine most people aren't like that. But there's just no space. That's why I think what Ray's doing is so important, especially to just show processing it, like to depict the process, to show that there's a way to live with this that can be healthy, honest, reality-based, respectful. Like, I think it's really good that he's navigating that like publicly. You know, so like, people have a point of reference.
I think his moral character is just like impressing me more and more every day. Like I don't think that he fits, like when people are criticizing AGPs for being self-centered or narcissistic, I'm like 100% confident that they're not talking about him, because that's not him at all. So
I talked to someone who was convinced that, like, actually a couple people are convinced he's lying about the whole thing, that or like exaggerating, like he was never a trans woman. Yeah, people literally believe this, and it's like, I don't know, like, people can deceive you, but from talking with Ray, I just didn't. He seemed so genuine, so forthcoming. It's like I just didn't get that vibe at all, you know. And then following you, and it's like it would be such a ridiculous, non-lucrative. Like, what? It doesn't make sense. Like, but they can't let he. Like,
no, he had a big following. Like, his screen name was Trans Philosopher, all one word, and he had big following. And he has a public book, and on the back of it, he looks super pretty as a woman.
I know, it's all kind of, there's plenty of verifiable proof, and everything he's saying, all these very specific things about that experience are all very ring true, very verifiable.
I think,
so it's like,
I think
so it's like, I don't believe that at all. Like,
at all. It's people will just use the blanket term AGP, but you can get more specific. There's like subtypes of AGP. Like, what are the motivations or desires for that male? Like, do they want the anatomy? Do they want like the social experience of being treated as a woman? Do they want to wear the clothes? Like all these different things. And so his is a lot based around the clothing, but not entirely. Like he will think about like his body or how he's being perceived or treated as well. Like a lot of it. So, but other people are more focused on different aspects. And then there's like co-occurring things like, is someone like really submissive, or do they have other kinks that go along with their AGP? And then also like, are they autistic? Do they have other like psychological stuff going on? So yeah, it's like, you know, you're not just AGP and then you're all the AGPs are all the same exactly, like psychologically.
Yeah, there should be like definitely more terminology to help people navigate that space, you know, like and differentiate between those different kinds of experiences. Cause I view it like, it's a spectrum and people can handle it how they want. I'm still trying to figure out if I think transition, like, I mean, I would support if someone truly is living a happier, more fulfilled life after medical transition, then I fully support that, you know.
I think
it's just about like, I don't know what the evidence is pointing to. I don't know if the evidence is even existing. Like there's just so much unknown for me. And I'm trying to be comfortable, like saying that I'm not positive about certain things. Like, you know,
so for some males who have like a high sex drive that they're struggling with, once they go on the estrogen and suppress their testosterone, they stop having to struggle with that so much. And some of them don't like having that high sex drive. It'll distract them.
Yeah, like, it can be a nuisance if it's not being fulfilled in any way.
So sometimes they go on the estrogen and suppress their testosterone and they're like, wow, like I'm calmer.
That's like what I do with methadone, because methadone, like methadone, guys on methadone can't get erections. It obliterates your testosterone.
Wow.
And it has that effect on women too. So like I've been on methadone and I was on a higher dose. And as I go down, like my sex drive comes back, more aspects of like, I feel more like invigorated instead of like zombie-ish, you know?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I kind of like manipulate the dose too a little bit, you know? It's not good, but I relate to that shifting of experiences of different levels of sexual.
Yeah. So there are so many side effects. I think the informed consent process needs to be emphasized